I think that as entrepreneurs and salespeople, whether you have a product or service, it doesn't matter, right? It's your job to be that constant communicator and outreach resource. Otherwise, kind of goes back to the old saying, you don't get what you don't ask for.
You are listening to Amplify Your Success Podcast, episode 266. And if you've ever wondered how to get your product endorsed by your favorite celebrities, there is a formula, and you're going to learn it today. Are you ready for this? Let's get started. Welcome to the Amplify Your Success Podcast. Get ready to ramp up your revenue, amplify your impact, and make your mark in the world. This is the show for experts, thought leaders, and service professionals who want to shatter their limits and achieve that next level. You're going to find out from other experts and influencers how they made it. Now, let's get amplified. Hey there, inspired entrepreneurs and business leaders. Your host, Melanie Benson here, authority amplifier to expert-based business owners. And today we're talking about how to get your product endorsed by celebrities. And this is something I've known about for years. And if you've got a product or even a service that you know a celebrity or an influencer can get you massive exposure and bring you a flood of new clients, then my guest today is going to give you some great tips and some awesome tools to help you pull this off. Before we dive into today's episode, I got a big question for you. Are you able to enroll your ideal clients in a 4, 5, or even 6-figure offer right now? If not, then I want you to run right over to get my new 7-step plan to get booked, get leads, and get 5-figure clients. This is my exact framework for how I leverage podcast guesting, speaking, being a guest expert in other people's membership communities to create a flood of ideal clients and turn them into high-ticket, happy, raving fans. Head over to amplifywithmelanie.com. You'll get access to my Facebook group, and with it, I will send you my downloadable copy of the 7-step plan. And in the Facebook group, I'm walking you through how to unpack each of these 7 steps, plus give you a little hint, there is a bonus tip in there, and help you take it from a nice idea to a powerful business boosting strategy for this year. Again, that's at amplifywithmelanie.com. You can also find the link on the show notes. Now, let's get into today's episode. Welcome back, Amplifiers. I'm really excited for today's episode. We're talking about how to get your product into celebrity hands. So let me introduce you to our special guest. Sarah Shaw is a fashion entrepreneur, a product designer, and a business coach. And with over 20 years experience and 6 companies under her belt, Sarah has built a treasure trove of secrets for launching your line, getting your products into stores and boutiques, getting your products to A-list celebrities and influencers, and getting massive publicity in order to grow quickly. Sarah's products have been in over 1,200 stores and boutiques across the country, including a couple of my favorites, Anthropologie, Nordstrom, Henry Bendel, Fred Segal, Neiman Marcus. I mean, the list goes on and on. She's also appeared in the pages of almost every major fashion and lifestyle magazine, including InStyle, People, Elle, The O-List. She's been on TV shows like Access Hollywood and the E! Network and been interviewed all over the place. Oh, and some of the same ones that I have, Entrepreneur.com, Forbes.com, and American Express Open Forum. Sarah is the founder and CEO of Sarah Shaw Consulting, and her big work in the world is teaching product designers and fashion entrepreneurs how to launch, market, and sell their products. Sarah, I've really been looking forward to our conversation today.
Me too. I'm so glad to be here with you.
Well, we're glad to have you. And this is something we haven't talked a lot about, but I'm really familiar with. I worked with somebody many years ago who did something similar. And it was like somebody opened up my mind to this whole other world. And I went, wow. And today, with the advent of like influencers and social media, there are so many places that we can apply what we're going to talk about today. So let's dig right in. Let's talk about this idea of product placement and getting products into the hands of celebrities and why this is a valuable marketing strategy.
All right. So, getting products to celebrities is really a great way to grow your brand because it gives you sort of that A-list credibility factor, right? And these days, credibility is so even more important than ever just because there's so many different channels out there, kind of like how you were saying, right? There's your website, there's your social channels, however many you have, right? There's blogs, there's podcasts, there's lots of ways to get the word out these days, magazines, celebrity magazines, fashion magazines. Um, and so getting products to celebrities is not as hard as people think. It's just that most people don't do it because they just don't know how. And so this way, talking today, I'm going to share all the different ways that we can do that.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Ooh, I'm excited. So, let me, before we get into how, I want to talk about, because the work we do here at Amplify Your Authority is really about recognizing, let's do the right thing better, right? So it's like we can do a lot of things, but if we do the right thing and pick the right audience and pick the right collaboration partners, then things move faster. And so I'm going to assume in your world and product placement and manufacturing and getting great products to market, that picking the right celebrities is a really key to moving products well. So how would somebody assess if celebrity marketing is right for them? And if so, what's the right celebrities to focus on?
Okay. So you want to think about your target customer, right? That's sort of the first thing we all do, right? To figure out who we're selling to and come up with your ideal customer. And then you want to start to think about which celebrities are attractive to them. So if you, let's say you sell a baby product and you want to get stuff to new mothers, you sell a swaddle blanket or something. So you'd want to start looking and Googling celebrities that have a baby in the 1 to 3 or 4 month age range, and then get that list together and then start looking. If you're not familiar with those celebrities, start looking them up, researching them, seeing what is written about them. Are they like your kind of people, right? Are they the kind of people that would, if they were photographed holding their baby swaddled in your blanket, is that going to get your customer to open their wallet and get their credit card out and go buy one to be just like them? Because most people these days admire famous people, right? And it's easier to, before we could only see them in movies in the old days, right? Then you could see them, maybe some pictures on the internet that the paparazzi put up on websites where you could buy a photo of your favorite celebrity, or magazines could buy them. Then came social media, right? So where you can, you can see pictures of these people in their daily lives. And obviously you've always been able to see them in the Us Weeklies and People magazines and places like that. So as you Google more photos of these specific celebrities in your niche, right, that you're looking for, you just want to make sure that their general character and who they are as a person speaks to your target customer.
Hmm. Yes, I agree totally. I think whatever business you're in, whatever market you're in, this idea, we call it borrowing influence, right? In the expertpreneur world. And
Mm-hmm.
in a way, that's what you're doing, is you're borrowing the credibility and influence of a celebrity here.
Exactly.
I love it. So, what is the best way to get your product in the hands of a celebrity once you've identified the right one for your product offerings?
So, what we generally suggest is once you've done this Google research and you've got your master list, is there's a website called contactanycelebrity.com. And you can go there, get a month's subscription. And if you do the month-long one, just make sure you make a note in your calendar to cancel it before they start charging your card every month. Um, and then you can go in there and get everyone's, just fill out your Excel sheet that you've started already, right? And you can put everyone's contact information in there, and then start thinking about the letter that you want to write. And you can go to my site and download some free examples of letters there. And then write the letter to the gatekeepers and start emailing them about your product. And, we want to get it to this person because they have a brand new baby. And we thought that, looking at some photos on the internet, that they really like the, blue whales or something. Right. So
Right.
whatever it is that you can relate your story to the celebrity, if the more you can do that and make it about that person, and the reason you're sending it to them is because, you've seen other blue whales that they've had and stuff, and you have a blue whale too, and you want to add to their collection or whatever the connection is. So the more connection you can make in that letter, the better results you have.
Well, I'm going to assume, just like anytime we cold pitch something, that they may get some rejects or some just completely ignored. Sometimes I think a lot of people get confused or conflicted about, like, what do I do if they don't say anything, right? Or if they don't respond? Do you encourage people to follow up? Do you encourage people just to write the best pitch and let it go? What do you see work there?
So I'm like the queen of follow up.
Love
Sometimes
that.
people will say to me, "Oh my God, you've emailed me so many times. Thank God, because I forgot," or whatever. Right. So I think that as entrepreneurs and salespeople, whether you have a product or service, it doesn't matter. Right. It's your job to be that constant communicator and outreach resource. Otherwise, it kind of goes back to the old saying, you don't get what you don't ask for. And so with celebrities, let's say you send your email on Tuesday, you don't hear back, and maybe end of the day on Thursday, you just hit reply, "Hey, Susie, just wanted to see if you had a chance to look at my email. I'd really love to get my blue whale baby wrap to so and so for their baby Charlie." Right.
Mm.
And then often you'll sometimes you will get tons of responses on your first pitch out, and you'll just be like, "Whoa, oh my God." And then other times you do have to follow up. And like you said, there are people who will never respond. It's pretty rare that they don't respond. Sometimes you'll just get back, they're not accepting gifts right now, or they're away on a movie, or, when they already have too many baby blankets, right? Whatever the response could be negative. And yes, there may be the occasional never, the people who don't ever respond. But if you don't get any responses, make me that first week, then I give it a rest, and maybe the next Wednesday or Thursday, send another follow up and just, check again. Because these assistants probably get 500 to 1,000 emails a day, and it may just have gotten lost, or they put it in a to answer later folder and then didn't get back to the folder, or whatever their organizational skills are. So it's your job to be the squeaky wheel.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because I think this is in any type of follow-up situation. Oftentimes we're not pestering people. Everyone's busy, so don't take
Mm-hmm.
it personally, right? It's just
Exactly.
have really great follow-up skills. It's an important part of the process working. We're in the green room before we came on here today, and we were talking about this idea of getting our products into celebrity hands, but there's a whole new wave of celebrities these days, self-created celebrities, if you will, called influencers. What, in your mind, is the difference between celebrities and influencers in using this practice?
All right. Good question. So I love talking about this difference. So celebrities are people who are generally categorized as people who are in TV shows or in movies, right? Who
Hmm.
might show up in People magazine or on the cover of a fashion magazine, right? Like Adele, the singer, is on the cover of Vogue. And because she's just transformed her body, and she's showing off her new look. And so, but influencers, like Instagram influencers or YouTube influencers, are generally not on the cover of magazines, or even like on, no paparazzi is out really shooting them and selling their pictures to people, or, Us Weekly or Star or whatever. So I like to look, at influencers on social media can be a really great way to go if it's the right fit. So we can stick with the baby category. Like if you find someone who talks about all kinds of baby products, is selling them, look at this. This is so great. I love this. I use this. You might want it too. And then they can either connect to your and tag you for shopping, or maybe they have their own website where they sell, like as an affiliate, sell things that other people are selling on their site, kind of like a drop shipping program. But one of the things you want to be really careful of, because most of these are paid gigs, right? Influencers usually ask for money, whereas celebrities, the TV and movie celebrity, we'll categorize them as the celebrities, just take it for free. So, there is no guarantee with celebrities that they will post a picture or you'll ever see a picture, right? Because it's a free exchange. It's just basically the cost of that is your time to contact them and the actual physical cost of goods sold on your product that you're giving to them as a present, right? So with a social media influencer, often there's a fee involved. Sometimes it's substantial, like starting at 2,500 or even 5,000. So what I usually suggest, because we all know people can buy buy subscribers, right? Or followers. It's not that hard to do. So if somebody's got 2 million followers and their videos that they do of products have, thousands of likes and tons of comments, those people are probably real. But what I usually suggest is that people look at past products that they've promoted and get in touch with the owners of those companies and get the word from the source, right? Because often the influencer, if they're not doing an affiliate promotion with them, let's just say they charge $5,000, Joe Schmo pays them $5,000, they say how fabulous their product is, then they don't ever really know how many things Joe Schmo sold, right?
Right.
They would know if they were an affiliate. Maybe you can get a deal and say, hey, I'll pay you $1,000 to help with the videographer and your fees and all that stuff that it costs you to get my post up. But let's do an affiliate sale. If you think you can sell, 5,000 of my thing, you're going to make way more money than the $5,000 you're asking for. So that's one way to go. Then the other is really to vet them through the last person or the last few people that they did, which is why you want to, if you have a baby product, you want to find someone who sells other people's baby products, not someone who's selling whiskey, but that could be good for parents too. But,
Yeah.
So you just want to make sure that you're finding the right influencer, right? And I find that YouTube influencers, because they've got big followings who are watching their videos, like that's what they're there to do, right? Can often be a better way to go. Then, Instagram influencer sounds sexier, but it could be that the YouTube a videographer and vlogger there, right, or influencer on YouTube has more followers who are actually real buyers, because when they say, look at this cool makeup I just put on, or I just swaddled my baby, or look at this badass outfit, right? They're actually showing it to you in a way that these people are used to seeing. Like they trust it, they kind of have more of the know, like, and trust factor, I think, on YouTube rather than Instagram, because Instagram can be a little flashy. And, that's kind of where all the big celebrities hang out, the Kardashians and all those people that have a lot of sex appeal to people. And what they're doing and want to follow them and, ooh, look what they're doing. So definitely reach out to past influenced people and see what the results were. Because if someone says, hey, I paid them $5,000 and I sold 4 things, right? And it's very similar to yours or the same genre, that might not be a great way to go.
No, I think that's really important to vet because um, it, there's the perception, the perception and the reality. There's often a gap, and influencers, one of their jobs is to curate a particular look and feel, and so we want to do our due diligence and make sure we're making a good investment in the visibility and the opportunity to sell more products. So this is really, really great advice. But this is also making me think of something else. And if this is too much of a segue, let me know. We'll veer back. But we're seeing about all the media, the visibility and opportunities that are emerging with product reviews. You're bringing up YouTube, and then we know there's now Amazon Live, and there's podcasts where a lot of people get their product sponsored. Do you see that as a complement to this type of strategy, or a strategy all on its own? And is it worth looking into that as well?
Oh, I think it's worth looking into everything. It's like when I see someone who doesn't have their Facebook or Instagram shop set up, I'm like,
Mm,
whoa, you're missing out on a whole potential channel, right?
yeah.
It's free to have it there, right? Why wouldn't you put it there? Or they don't have Google shopping set up correctly, or, all these different channels, if they have, not everybody sells on Amazon, right? Sometimes
Hmm.
it's just not worth it financially for people, or they just don't feel like people are looking for their product on Amazon, which is fine. It takes a lot to promote your product on Amazon as well, right?
Yeah.
People are like, I've had an Amazon store for 4 months, I haven't sold anything. And it's like, okay, well, what are you doing to push that, right?
Right.
Um, and so I think that it's sort of the omni-channel way of going is so important. It's kind of why, when I'm working with people, I tell them it's so important to, I think of your business as four-piece pie. So you've got your online e-com shoppers, right? So you've got to be emailing them every week, twice a week if possible, right? If you're ready to wholesale to stores, you need to be contacting them all the time, reaching out to magazines, media, and I include podcasts and anything else media wise in there. And then the celebrity influencer, because sometimes you might be selling a ton on your site because you just got some press, right? And it's driving
Hmm.
the traffic there. And maybe you don't care about celebrities that week, and you're not, but then you're telling your stores about all the press you just got, and then they're clamoring for more sales. So I think each of those quadrants feeds on each other, right? I mean, you might be able to tell your online shoppers, hey, we just got into such and such store in Chicago. And then maybe you have a lot of people in Chicago where they tell their friends or whatever, right? It's just everything has a chain reaction. When you post on social, tag the store, hey, we're now selling in this store, or we're just in this magazine, or look at this celebrity, or look at this influencer, right? Everything feeds on each other these days because it's all so interconnected. So I think it's important to be as many places as possible. It was kind of easier in the old days when all there was a phone.
Yeah.
Um, but it took a lot more physical labor back then,
Yeah.
right? You were on the phone dialing for dollars basically every day. And now you're emailing for dollars or posting for dollars, right? It's not as
Right.
labor intensive because you can reach all the subscribers on your email list with one campaign, right? Or
Right.
you can post something and whoever sees it on social sees it. So I think that there's the ease of today, but at the same time, it's more complicated and more multi-layered.
Automation is our best friend for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one last question. It's just kind of was popping into my head because I always like to think about, like, what is our listener thinking right now? What is the question they might want to ask? And I know a lot of our listeners are service based versus
Mm-hmm.
product based. Do you think these kinds of strategies could work for the service provider who's listening in today?
It depends on the service. I mean, I've done celebrity gifting with service providers, photographers, authors, different like Reiki or crystal, offerings, things like that. The response is varied. It's
Yep.
it's it's much less, just because a lot of, I think, famous celebrities, right, have people that they've been working with for a long time. Whereas I think that strategy the same strategy would apply better for service-based providers through YouTube influencers and maybe some Instagram or Facebook influencers. Definitely getting on podcasts, sharing what it is that they do for people, right? I think getting on podcasts is a great way to get the word out, as long as it's the right podcast,
Agreed.
that speaks to your tribe.
Agreed. Totally. I appreciate you addressing that because I know there's that fantasy. Oh, I know so and so's going through a divorce. They've posted, I can help them, right? Or someone's been talking about their anxiety on social. Can
Mhm.
I help? I can help them. So I think what I would imagine is there's a significant amount of relevance and credibility and trust that have to come together at those moments if you have a service business. And I love your idea of focusing more on the podcast and YouTube influencers and things like that. Great, great
Well,
advice.
and magazines,
Oh, yes, yes.
pitching the media, especially, business magazines, the entrepreneurs and, American Open Forum and
Mhm.
Inc. and everything, but also a lot of fashion magazines write about entrepreneurial endeavors, right? They tell
Mhm.
stories, like people, they'll tell somebody's story of their life, like this happened to me and it
Mhm.
got me to be this kind of consultant, right? The story of her life, basically, how you got there. Also, some magazines will do like women at work sections. If you're an author, obviously every fashion magazine has a book review editor. So if you're writing, if you write a book that's good for their subscribers, right? You need to be really familiar with the magazine. If you don't subscribe to it, check it out online, go sit at the newsstand, go buy a few copies, and really dive into it, and you'll start to see the different sections.
Yeah.
And that can be a great way to grow your brand as well.
Yeah. I will throw out a resource. As you know, in the show notes, we always have the things that we've talked about that may be outside of Sarah or my resources. And Harrow, Help a Reporter Out, can be
Mm-hmm.
really helpful for those media placements. You can't see this as you're listening to the podcast, but Sarah can see behind me the picture of me on the wall. That's a 4-page spread in a alumni magazine that I saw a pitch for in Harrow. So I got 4 pages, 2 of which was like full color. And it was a really impressive feature just by responding to that and talking about my story of how I became an entrepreneur. So definitely worth looking into those strategies for all kinds of businesses. Sarah, this has been so enlightening. I love the tools and the tips. And you mentioned earlier that on your website, people can get samples of the letters that you can send to celebrity
Mm-hmm.
gatekeepers. I will link that up in the show notes, but if you go to sarahshawconsulting.com, right, that's where that will land.
Correct.
Good. And I highly recommend that if you're considering the strategy, even if you're going for influencers, YouTube influencers, media of any kind, like go check out Sarah's resources. She is a treasure trove of resources. And we don't want to have to create all this from scratch. It's really generous of you, Sarah, to share the resources that you've already put together. This is the time that I really, really like to ask some kind of like get to know Sarah questions. I love asking my guests what the boldest thing you had to do up to now to get where you are in your business.
So I think the boldest thing that I did when I first started my handbag line was to approach some store buyers in Los Angeles, where I lived at the time, and ask them, totally unknown me, to take my bags into their store on consignment, because I knew that if I could have those names on my list of stores, that it would open other doors for me. And
Mhm.
nobody had ever done that before. They were like, wow, no one's ever asked us that before. And so that was pretty bold. My second boldest move there was starting to pitch celebrities, because nobody was doing it yet. I was one of the
Mm.
first designers to start getting products to celebrities. Um, so that was, for me, one of the scariest times, in my business life, because I didn't even know how to do it, and there was no contactanycelebrity.com back then in 1998.
You didn't have your cheat sheet.
I didn't have any cheat sheets. I was inventing the cheat sheet at the time.
Oh, nice.
And I think the other boldest thing for me was, deciding that doing my one-on-one consulting wasn't a way to scale my business.
Mm.
So I took Sam Ovens' up-level course and learned how to put together a group coaching program. And that's been really awesome. And I love my group of women. And it's really inspiring for me to be working with so many different people at one time. And it was really scary for me to plunk down large amount of money and take this course. And I'm a single mom. I've got twins that are going to be 14 in January. And I did this a couple years ago when they were younger. And it's a very time consuming endeavor to sort of change the strategy of your business model.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I would say for this business, that was probably my boldest move.
I think that that is probably the single most common answer when I ask successful entrepreneurs what was the big bold thing or the risk that you took, is investing in a strategy to change my business model so it's better.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think we all have to do that. And I love when people share that, because as you're listening in and you're considering making an investment in a mastermind, or you're ready to get some coaching of some kind, this is what really moves the needle. And hopefully my guests are proving that to you, because they're achieving big success. All right, last question. Sarah, what's one thing you wish you would have done sooner?
Probably taken Sam Evans' course sooner.
Yeah. It's like, why did I wait so long?
Yeah, I just didn't even think about it or know about it really.
Yeah.
And since then, I've been investing in a different service every single year. A couple of years ago, when the pandemic hit and my Facebook ads took a big dive, I decided to invest in another entrepreneur who taught me how to do organic outreach on Facebook in a different way than Sam had taught me, and sort of put it on steroids. And then this last year, I decided to invest in a PR company that books me on podcasts. That's how I ended up here. And that's been really great, and been a different way to expand my business without me looking for the podcasts and pitching them myself, which obviously I'm completely capable of doing. It's just another time consuming event.
Well, yeah, it
that I
speeds
can
things up.
Yeah, right. If you can hand things off, I think that's one of the key factors to building your business.
Mic drop moment, my friends. That couldn't have said it better myself. Sarah, thank you so much for sharing a little glimpse behind the scenes of your world and what it's taken to get you there. This is what it takes to amplify the reach of your business. And Sarah's certainly modeling that for us today. And she is going to help you really dial in that celebrity placement. So make sure you head over to her website and grab those templates, because that'll save you a bunch of time and energy if you know how to do it in a way that's going to get results. So Sarah, thanks so much for being here today.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was my pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in today, Amplifier. Be sure to join us right now in the Amplify Your Authority community at authorityamplifiers.com, and I'll share my 7 proven tips to be a highly paid expert that stands out in a crowded market. Plus, we're going to keep this conversation going, and I want to hear from you how you're going to amplify your authority and make a greater impact. Before you go, please take a minute to give our show and our guests some love over on your favorite podcasting platform. Subscribe, rate, and review. Leave your full name, and I'll spotlight you and your authority on social media.